First of all, introducing our challenger.
Out of the blue corner.
He's going to step in and he does. It's all over.
Let's bring on the boom.
This is Eternal MMA.
Mixed martial arts fans, welcome back and thank you for joining me once again on the Eternal Insiders Podcast, back for 2023. As always, my name's Luke and I'm your host. Joining me today is a man that is making his return 12 months later to compete at Eternal 74, challenging Kaleb Rideout for the Eternal Welterweight Championship, fighting out of Absolute MMA in Collingwood, Victoria. It's Mr. Joseph Luciano. Joey, how you doing today, man? Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for having me on, and it's always good to be involved with Eternal.
No, it's good to have you on, man. Now, it's been 12 months since we've seen you in the Eternal Cage, as we just said. A big spot for you, brother. A big lead up. Be 10 fights, pretty much 10 cards on. What's the enthusiasm level like? This is huge. It's a championship. Kaleb Rideout, Gold Coast. How are we feeling?
Yeah, it's a massive fight for me. So, always keen to scrap anyway, but title fight adds a bit more of intrigue to it. Obviously, Kaleb's a great, exciting opponent too. Poses a bit of a unique challenge that not many other people do. So I'm fucking pumped, man. I'm really pumped.
That's great. I think a lot of people are pumped to see the fight, man. It's an intriguing matchup. Now, just before we jump into the fight, just for the people that don't know, can you take us a little bit back to the beginning in terms of your journey as a martial artist? Now, I know you started off with 10 fights as a Muay Thai fighter, and you had that random fight that you jumped to as a mixed martial artist. I believe you competed at the IMAF World Championships as an amateur. Give us a bit of an insight into that journey and how you got to the spot that you're at today.
Yeah, right. So probably the thing that's a little bit unique about myself in the Oz scene is the amount of amateur fights I've had. I stayed amateur for quite a long period of time. Most guys were having 3 or 4 Amis and then going pro. I had close to about 30, 35 across a few different disciplines, including kickboxing, Muay Thai, and I did a heap of IMAF stuff. All around the world, so fought in South Africa 4 times, Bahrain a few times, Singapore. So yeah, that was probably something a little unique about my amateur career. Had a long one, and then went pro a little bit later than most, and sort of I'm reaping the rewards from that storied amateur career. So yeah.
Was there any thought to sort of going back? Like, obviously we said that you started, with some Thai fights and that sort of thing. Like, once you'd sort of got that bug in you and you'd sort of had those amateur fights, was there ever any looking back, or was it you pretty much dedicated yourself to mixed martial arts? Obviously you're here now, big spot, championship fight. There was never any looking back for you, right?
Yeah, there was. So for a while I did both. I did Muay Thai and MMA, and then had a big break from the striking, really needed to focus on the grappling and wrestling and all of that. And then last year I had a pro kickboxing fight too, just to fill into some space and earn some extra cash. So that was fun. But yeah, I haven't had any straight striking fights since then. So
now you've been training in Thailand in the lead up to this fight, I'm told.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Absolute's got a gym over there as well in Phuket. Down in Rawai, which is the south of the island. So it's always good to go there, get away from everything and just be solely focused, kicking the pads every day and getting some grappling in too. I took a couple of training partners with me to, keep the ball rolling and everything. So yeah, I love it out there, man. The pads are great, the training's great, and good place to lose some weight and not eat a heap of food and go for runs and be healthy. And yeah, I love it out there, mate.
I mean, the weight's got to come off easy over there, right, with the weather. Is that a thing? Like, you just get out there and you get that natural sweat on, you get moving? Like, it's got to help,
100%, mate. You sweat buckets out there, and the food, the meals are a little smaller, and there's none of my wife's cooking out there. So it's good for me, mate. Yeah, it's real good for me.
You must miss the wife's cooking when you're away.
Oh, something like that. I won't tell her that, but yeah, a little bit.
She might see this when it comes out, so we've inadvertently given her a bit of a compliment there. So, is this the first time you've actually been out to train in Thailand? You just said that Absolute's got a gym out there. Is this the first experience that you've had out there? Like, what prompted the move to want to go out to Thailand this time around?
So, I actually started my martial arts journey in Thailand. I was playing soccer at a really high level, saw some Pride on YouTube and went, fuck, I want to do that. So, quit soccer to the devastation of my parents, family, and jumped straight over to Thailand for 3 months when I was 16. So like, that's a pretty pivotal point in a young man's life, being 16. So I've got a a strong attachment to the place. And then since I've been at Absolute, post-COVID, being able to travel, I've gone back there, I think over the last 6 months, probably last 8 months, I've probably spent 4 months total there. So I've been going back and forth. It's great for me, mate, the training suits and everything. So, yeah.
And what sort of growth do we see from that? Like, it's got to be a big thing, right? Like, obviously, we know you get a fantastic team at Absolute MMA here in Victoria, where I'm from personally, so I'm very familiar with the gym. But, I mean, what's the level up process like, being able to get out to a place like Thailand? You're obviously very Muay Thai focused. We know you had the Muay Thai background, but have you noticed that sort of exponential growth in your game by going out there so often?
100%. What the beauty of Thailand is, you're able to increase your training volume. So out here, you might only be able to get 3 hours in, but they're doing 3-hour sessions twice a day. So just reps on reps on reps, repetition's the key for my learning and skill development. So just go out there and crunch some numbers, really. Instead of maybe in Melbourne, I'm doing 1,000 kicks a week. There I might be doing 10,000. So that just the programming's a little bit different, and increasing volume's always good to get the base of that pyramid wide heading into a fight camp where you sort of dial it in a bit more.
And what are the gym at Absolute MMA, man? I mean, so many good guys sort of coming through that. We almost had Sam Kakemo on a card recently, of course. Jack just fought at UFC 284. Like, what's it like to have that group of guys, especially someone like Jack, a former Eternal champion, leading from the front, going out and getting himself into the UFC? Like, you mentioned last time we saw you in the Eternal cage that it's a rising tide at Absolute MMA. Like, what's that growth been like as a team over the last 12 months?
So the interesting thing about this sport, right, you're an individual when you get in there. But I would say outside of that, it's one of the most, you have to have a good culture and you have to have a team going. And we're very, very lucky. The timing on this, with everyone coming to this crescendo of their career, that probably 5 to 10 pro fight level, everyone's lifting together, and there's an absolute buzz in the gym. Everyone's pushing, and it's been great to have Jack leading from the front. He's a leader in the room. He's got awesome skills. He's sellable. He's just a fantastic guy, and he's sort of taken the steps forward and put us on the map a little bit. I think locally everyone knew, but now it's getting a bit more buzz, and there's heaps of us waiting just to get that chance to break through. Like Lisa's probably next. She's pound for pound number one and just won a good fight. So Khan, there's a heap of guys coming through, and that's not even talking about our amateurs that I'm sort of involved with as well. And it's not an accident that we're all coming through like this. We've got a great coach there, Simon. If it was one good guy from the gym, you could go, oh, that good guy would be good anywhere he is. If it was just Jack, I believe Jack would be great any place he trains. But there's 10 of us that are good. So there's something in the water down here for sure, mate.
Now, March 18th, obviously big spot on the Gold Coast, fighting for that championship, fighting against Kaleb Rideout. It's been an interesting and a fun build-up to the fight. Of course, you guys fought on the same card at Eternal 64 when he called you out prior to your win, your rear naked choke win against Tristan Murphy. Like, what's that sort of been like in the build-up? Like, when you sort of look at Kaleb as a person, as an athlete, like, what do you sort of see there in terms of his skill set? Like, is there any animosity there? Is there a bit of poking the bear whatsoever? Like, is there anything to it? Like, what can you tell us about that sort of, that little weird little mini relationship you got sort of going in that lead up to the fight?
I wouldn't say it's a weird little mini relationship. Kaleb's obviously a bit of a character. I think he's hilarious. And that, his vibe and everything, I think people look into that too much and don't realize that he's actually a really good athlete. He's a great fighter. The way he goes about it's unique. He functions in chaos very well. So it's a great challenge for me. It's going to be fucking fantastic. It's a real clash of styles. So, I love it. I reckon it's a fun build-up. He's obviously a funny dude. Yeah, I reckon it's great. It's awesome, man.
He did say on the mic originally when he did call you out that he thought you were Ducky. Was there any truth to that, or do you think that was Kaleb just trying to stir the pot a little bit?
I think that it was Kaleb trying to stir the pot. I'm sure as, anyone involved in the scene, I bet you all our coaches are trying to match people all the time. There's shit falling through left, right, and center. I've never ducked anyone, and I never will. So that's just the game. I'm not involved in that. I just do my job, get in there, scrap, finish someone, go home with some cash and a story to tell.
It's a multifaceted game. And of course, the lead up to the fight, there's a bit of a talk about the clash of styles. Kaleb being, a very high twitch athlete, very unorthodox. Yourself, you're extremely impressive grappler, very submission heavy. We saw grappling a lot from your last fights in Eternal. Do you see this as a real true sort of clash of styles? Like when you two guys get together, they say styles make fights. Like when you put your two styles together,
they do, for sure. I think the beauty of this is okay, so I've been finishing guys with chokes in my last strikes. But, you can put me in a striking fight. It's modern MMA. And Kaleb, I'm sure, he's been finishing guys with some great spinning techniques and some off-rhythm stuff. But I'm sure he can grapple his ass off. So it's modern MMA. I think at the forefront of the clash of styles, there's that perception. But I'm sure either of us might be able to finish this fight anyway. I know if I clip someone, it's going to hurt. I can stop them with leg kicks, can clip them with both hands. So, everyone's dangerous everywhere. That's the beauty of this, right? It's human chess.
I mean, speaking of the leg kick opportunity, you're learning from one of the best as far as the leg kicks go in Absolute MMA, right? I know you're a coach at Absolute MMA, but one of the best sort of leg kickers sort of going around in the game with Jack Jenkins. Like, you guys must be honing that game pretty hardcore, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah. All we do, I just let him kick me in the leg and he lets me kick him in the leg and we compare notes. So it's a bit of a laugh, really. But yeah, we it's not an accident that that's happening. He's got a thought out little process how he goes about it. And it's always good to rack the mind of someone else that's competing at a high level.
Have you got a few fans, family, a lot of, people that, sort of follow your career coming up to the Gold Coast to see the fight?
Yeah, there's a few coming up. It probably sucks. Both Kaleb and I are out of towners, so it would have been good if it was in one of our hometowns. But the Goldie, I fought up on the Goldie a fair bit. It's always fun. People know me up there, get stopped in the street and stuff. So, yeah, there'll be plenty of people there. A few guys coming up from Melbourne, so it's always nice.
Yeah, it's always nice to see the traveling Melbourne fans. They always sort of turn out for their guys. As I said, we've seen a lot of the Absolute MMA shirts around the UFC 284 for Jack's turnout there. So it's always very cool to see. When are you actually heading up to the Gold Coast? Like, we're getting close now. When are you heading up?
Yeah, I'll head up mid to early next week. Take a few guys up there with me and rock up and down Cavill Ave, eating some KFC and maybe have a couple of pints.
Yeah, to make up for all the other slim portions that you get in Thailand, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure in your mind, obviously, in your head, you're getting the win. Be a few pints after the fight, that I'm assuming, yeah?
No, I don't actually drink after fights, man. You have that real high after the fight, and I like to ride that for a little bit, maybe eat some candy after and just have everyone back at the apartment and have a laugh about the last 8 weeks and the chaos we've caused with each other. And then normally the weekend after, I'll take everyone that sort of put in and all the close guys, and we'll go for a bit of a bottomless brunch or something like that.
Sounds good, man. Now, are you the sort of guy that likes to make predictions on the fight? We know what sort of the matchup could potentially look like stylistically, but if you can, give us a prediction on how you think that fight's going to go. Like, how are you getting the win against Kaleb Rideout? Big spot, welterweight championship, March 18th, Eternal 74 on the Gold Coast. How are you getting it done, man?
Spinning back elbow by Joseph Luciano.
Spinning back elbow by Joseph Luciano. You heard it here from the man himself, coming in at Eternal 74 all the way from Melbourne. Joseph, thanks very much for your time, man. We'll let you get back to it. Can't wait to see this one. We're only a couple of weeks away. We'll talk to you again soon. In your mind, obviously, hopefully after a big win. Thanks for joining me, brother. We'll see you in the next one.
Lovely. Thanks, mate.